Are you saying only men can pour concrete?
Yeah. No, I mean, of course, you can have women out there, but there's the great thing, and Anthony Essen brings this up a lot, is that there's nothing like physical labor that actually does bring out the difference in the sexes. That there is a difference, that men have a form of strength that does, yes, they are better. Sure, there can be women that grow into physical strength.
We're seeing that in some of the transgender competition.
Right. It's an absurdity to take a man's physical strength and have him compete against women. It's an absurdity.
Yes. Yes. This is a sign of our times that we are blending or ignoring the simple, basic physiological differences between men and women. Brace yourself, everyone. Hold on to your seats. I'm going to say something very controversial. Men and women are different. And what do I mean by different? I mean physically, and I would argue psychologically. There is a difference between men and women. It doesn't mean one is better than the other. Have you not been reading the catechism as we've been going through all this? What does it say? They're different and complementary to each other. One complements the other. Okay? You could say a ton of that. I'm going to get back to this before I go off.
And the fact of the matter is that in the blue-collar world, the real world, there's not women clamoring to get on the concrete crew, because it becomes manifestly obvious that we didn't get the job done today because we didn't have enough manly strength on the job, right? And that's not ideological, that's facing reality. So what I'm describing there is when I would go to work with men. So when I'm a boy and I'm in school, which is overwhelmingly a female environment.
Right, which you talk about and have some statistics on. Right?
Yeah, it's both in CCD classes, in the church in general, but also in society and school teachers and all that. That boys live in a highly...
Right. And it wasn't always that way. I mean, even I'm old enough to remember even in grammar school having male teachers still in around the 3rd, 4th, 5th grade.
That's right, yeah. Today, most of the teachers, there's a lot of male teachers in math, and then a lot of coaches are still men. But in general, the difference, and a lot of, they might have had school teachers, but the primary place that boys encountered men in our culture and society is work, physical labor. But in a highly industrialized, technological society.
Work and sports. That's usually the only place where boys encounter men. Work and sports. Okay? And there's a reason for that. So stay with me.
Society, we don't have these means. That's why I call it was a gift to be able to work, to be in an environment where, as Estelyn said, where I have a body and a mind and a soul, and all of the men around me treated me completely different than when I was in school or when I was in the care of the mothers.
Right. You say there was a time when I was leaving boyhood behind, and you talk about adolescence as the transitional phase between boyhood and manhood, and my impression is you think that adolescence goes on way too long in our culture today.
Yeah, some people say we invented adolescence, that traditional societies, they ended boyhood as soon as possible, because the sooner a boy learns what his strength is for, like, hey, look, I'm gaining some muscle, great, here's a shovel, is good for him, because he immediately can apply his strength, apply his intelligence to a project before him. When we extend adolescence, and we keep extending it, I mean, right now, on into college, it's these, and that's on our farm where we do retreats and things, there's a lot of college students that come, and they've just been living in an extended adolescence, and what they need is the experience in their body, in their mind, in their soul, of leaving behind the comforts of childhood. So when we prolong adolescence, what we're really doing is delaying growing up.
Right. Too many video games?
Absolutely. I mean, what's funny, I have been in rooms with boys, and you can say all sorts of controversial things about human sexuality, about you need to give up this, you need to stop looking at that. But if you say, also, you need to stop playing video games, it's like you ask them to sacrifice.
That's the third rail.
Yeah, it's just, I can't believe the attachment. And today, and I hope some of them are not playing video games, maybe they're watching this now, the fathers that have young children and they're married, telling me why it's okay for them to play hours of video games in a day, that's also an absurdity. They should know on an intuitive level that from their experience, from the gift of masculinity, that it is not okay to play a game instead of attending to your duties as a father. You don't need a rest time. That's not even restful. You're playing a game.
Well, it's a skill.
Did you hear that? Attending to your duties as a father. Okay? This is what I'm talking about guarding and protecting and being the kind of men that God is now trying to teach and train us to be.
Escape.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly what it is.
Into something they began as a child,
right,
and they never put it away.
Right, that's a good point. Well, I can say I remember years ago playing one particular game, playing it for like 2 or 3 hours and realizing this is addictive, I can't do this, and I just never did it again.
What game was that?
It was called Desert Strike. This is many years
Nintendo?
ago. Yeah, whichever one of the games it was. But it was just the kind of thing I realized if I'm going to get anything done in my life, there's no way, because it's great.
Right.
It's fun, and
now there's a difference today. I think if you look at the games people are playing,
right,
is their first-person adventure, heroic
RPO,
battles.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that they're I think what video games are giving actually is a lot of what we're not giving. So they're simulating the experiences of the mind and the body that a man wants to have.
And a lot of times they also have these role-playing games where you're in teams.
Yeah. And
you're working with other people, so you're getting this virtual team building situation that used to happen more in the local neighborhood.
Yeah, as you're getting, now I think it's all simulated, but you're getting brotherhood, you're getting adventure, you're getting a role to play, you're getting purpose. And whereas they get outside of the video games and they have a world of relativism, of nihilism, where nothing matters, I have no purpose, I'm just a cosmic accident. Right. They get inside this world, I've got brotherhood, I've got meaning, I've got a mission, I've got a purpose, I've got a uniform, I've got a gun, I've got,
Right.
I mean, you can see why it's attractive, but it's still a game. Right. But it's part of the problem of...
You say, today I speak to, write for, and work directly with men who want to feel within themselves masculinity that is alive and real, but who are clearly uninitiated. How does one get initiated?
Well, that's the rest of the book. That we think of, the book is based around what we know as rites of passage. And when we hear that word, we often think of going out and killing lions, we think of the big sensational things that might be on TV, but really it's an anthropological understanding of how a society helps an individual leave behind one state of life in order to embrace a new state of life. So the rest of the book is that initiation is not, if people are looking for a quick fix, it's not there. I can tell you the stages that have to happen. And it sounds, I'm not presenting myself as an expert, this is an observation of human nature. And I think every time people hear this, they say, you're right, that needs to happen. And the follow-up question, so when does this happen? But a society that has a rite of passage, so most of us know marriage, right? You cannot be a married man and a single man at the same time, right? Those two forms.
And that's one of the areas you point out is why there's a delay, because people are delaying getting married, right?
Right, yeah. Well, because marriage is obviously a major step in growing up, becoming a man, of having the responsibility. But I think boys need to become men before they're married, so that.
Amen. But I will also add this, and I can thank Dennis Prager in his commentary for this. One of the things that he mentions, and I think it's worthwhile saying, that in this whole process, one of the things that helps make men into the kind of men, the loving, caring, nurturing, protecting, and guarding persons that they are, comes through a good marriage. A good woman can help initiate or mold a man into this kind of image. Not by being dominated by some a woman where it's yes dear, it's not that. It's a mutual helping where the way Dennis puts it is that women help men mature their thinking. And I think that there is a truth in that. Because women are our complements, when we're in a marriage and it's a good partnership, the woman will help temper some of this energy that a man has that he may not know how to channel properly. And the way a woman does this is through her own unique femininity. It's not by being domineering over the man, where, like I said, it's a yes dear kind of relationship. It's more of she opens him up to an aspect of his personality that's underdeveloped, that only she can do. I know about this in psychological terms. This is called, in men, it's called the anima complex. It's an underdeveloped part of a man's psyche that is reflected in a woman. And a woman helps develop this underdeveloped part in him to make him a full human being. Now, consequently, this also is reflected in women's psychology. A woman has what's called the animus complex, which is an underdeveloped masculine side of her, that a man comes and helps temper with her. Okay? And this, the complementarity of the sexes, when they work in good union, creates a temperament of strength in both of the sexes that wasn't there by themselves. Okay? So stick with me. There's more. Huh? Let me see.
CC. Go to
Where,
CC at the
there?
bottom there.
Okay.
We as men, culturally, we need to prepare say, yes, you're prepared for marriage. And just think of a man, the custom of a man going to his soon-to-be bride's father, and he says, I would like, in a sense, the father is affirming, yes, you're man enough to have my daughter. I mean, there's a affirmation there of him, not just a permission as if she's a passive ornament for that being passed between males. It's really about them saying, do you have what it takes to enter into this? But for marriage is a rite of passage, because you're leaving behind being single and you're becoming married, becoming one flesh, incorporated into a body.
And this idea of initiation is something that's unique to men's psychology, that is not necessarily unique, is not a part of women's psychology. What's interesting in this dialogue, I hate to, kind of foreshadow about women's psychology here, but the difference between men and women in their psychology is that a woman derives primarily her identity from her relationship. She is her father's daughter. When she is married, she becomes her husband's wife. This exchange of relationship is how a woman develops her psychology. With men, on the other hand, they derive their identity through their labor. It's completely different. And you can just see this when you think of it this way. When you ask a man, oh, hi, nice to meet you, the next question you usually ask is, what do you do? And the man will say, oh, I'm a chemical engineer up at McDonnell Douglas. Oh, how interesting, blah, 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 blah. Right? The worst thing to happen to a man is to say, I'm out of work. And you go, oh. Something different for women. When you ask them, well, hi, how are you? You generally, nowadays, in our society, we ask, well, what do you do? But if a woman says, oh, I'm a homemaker, you don't have that sense like, oh, like you do for a man who's out of work. You see what I mean? Because she is devoting herself to her relationship, her husband and her children. And it's like, oh, okay. Do you see what I mean? There's a difference here. There's a difference here. And it's just something that is part of our our innateness. Even the terms that we use, husband and wife. The word husband is derived from a compound word, house, band. In English, it is a compound word, house, band. What does that mean? He is the one that keeps the family together. He binds the family together. He holds it together. He guards and protects it. He's the husband, house band of this relationship. Wife actually comes from the word weaver. Someone who weaves, knits. She keeps it all together on the inside. So he's guarding and protecting it on the outside. She's keeping it all knitted together on the inside. So you have the house band and the weaver working together. Okay? And when you think about it, it's like, oh, yeah. Okay, I mean, that's kind of a natural reaction. Nowadays, women are just as much in the workforce as men, and so they have careers and so forth, and it's not to take anything of that away. But it's saying that when you think about the differences between men and women, there's a difference. If a woman is out of work, we don't think less of her. We think less of men, whether we want to admit it or not. It's like, what's wrong with you? We think this, whether we admit it or not, we do, because there's something innate between men and their work and women in relationship. Women get the same sort of expression when they say, "Are you married?" Tell me if I'm right, ladies, and you say, "No," and they go, "Why?" "Oh." And they're, "How come?" Yes. Do you see that? When you say to a man, "Are you married?" and you say no, they go, "Oh, okay." Yes. Smart man. I mean, right? You don't get that sort of condescending kind of look or feel. And and that betrays the difference between men and women. Psychologically, women have this sense of family, of relationship connection. Men have this connection with work and labor.